Hello and welcome to today's video. This is a creative challenge video, and today I will be talking about what my journey through college, really. I started my college career in level 2 media with my tutor Karen Bird and Rob Williams, both from which it was a pretty good and easy course to start off with. I was first told when I went to the opening evening, when I first spoke to them, when I first met my first tutors, they said to me going into level 2 instead of jumping into level 3 would be easier to get more knowledge into how the college works, as well as getting used to having assignments and having college videos being done and having just work set in college, because it was completely different to what it was in school, and I was already tuned to what school was doing and not college. So my first year in level 2, I made quite a few different things, and my first year in college wasn't exactly the best. When I first started, for the first weeks, I was a bit nervous because it was a new area I haven't explored. I haven't been, let's say, self-conscious about things. As an example, I haven't been to places I don't know on my own. I didn't walk into town on my own. It was the first time I got the bus on my own, so everything was a bit nerve-wracking when I first went, because I didn't know what to fully expect when I first started. So in my first year I made my own little website. It was something I was quite proud of, actually, because I used quite a bit of resources to make that, and I put a bit of thought through that as well. It was more like a logo creator as well as a banner creator for the likes of YouTube, Facebook, or any sort of other social media websites such as Twitter. You got even Instagram as well that worked off. I was able to create my own banners and logos in order to make a small little tiny business from it. And it did work. I trialled it out and I made £1.50 on a banner, but I stopped that because it wasn't something, whilst I'm in college, I needed to focus on. I wanted to focus more on the college work and not on that sort of thing. But it was something that I could use in the future that could work. Now, I made my own magazine in a group. I had a group of 4, and it was very stressy, should I say, making my own magazine. It was to be based on the college and welcoming other people into the college. So it was pretty fairly straightforward. However, with the time gap and all the other assignments that were due, I will admit I was a bit bossy to the rest of my group, and my group, they didn't thank me for it, put it that way. I got quite a bit of grief that year. But nonetheless, we made a magazine and it was pretty good. We had it photocopied, we had it made to look like a real magazine, and the effect that we gave on it was really good. I think it was about 30 pages long and a welcome page, and what people do in college, and it was really fun. We did a few interviews as well. We had it tested, the magazine was sent out to people, and we got a review back from them, and it was, to be fair, the review was pretty good for, you know, for the first year, the first time of us making a magazine before. Obviously we had to design it first. We had a big folder full of stickers on it, and it was really interesting, and time flew in level 2. It was a really quick year. We made our own stop motion videos with Karen Bird. We had some clay characters which we initially had to draw, and then with the clay characters we used green screens in the TV studio to make an animation, and it was really fun, really interesting. It was different, and by then, especially with stop motion, it was interesting to me because at the time I was doing YouTube videos for animation as well as gaming. The gaming aspect didn't really work, but in terms of the animations, it coped really well. It was really good, and obviously I'll be putting some overlaying footage, B-roll footage is what it's called, over this, so you can see what I did. And to be fair, it was something I was really interested in at the time. I still am interested, but I stopped last year because I had a lot of work that I needed to do. I recently had changed jobs, and therefore I couldn't do any more animations. I didn't have enough time to do that. So I stopped doing that, focused my college and my work career first, and then continued from there. Whether I'll go back to YouTube or not, I don't fully know. With Karen, we did some cutting down of films and videos to create meaning. So, for an example with this, we used Tom Cruise in the Mission Impossible 2 when he's on a cliff, and we cut it down into different sequences to sort of create the meaning. Why is this here? Why is that there? As an example, why is he hanging on a cliff? Why is that sort of music in the background? We did this with Frozen, we did this with a couple of other movies as well, and as much as a lot of people at the time were saying that's one way how to ruin a film, well, they were right, but it was quite interesting to know what every bit of detail meant within a video. So aside from obviously having a few issues in level 2, especially with a lot of people, you know, there's a lot of people that I haven't met before. I've got a personality, they've got a personality, and I admit that I have upset a few people whilst being in the college myself, but it's something I couldn't help with because I didn't realise them. I didn't know people long enough to really understand what their humour was like. So apart from obviously having a few issues with certain people in level 2, I thought it was a very good year. It went very quickly, and I keep saying to Karen and Rob that it was a very enjoyable year. I'd recommend it to anyone. And it was something that I was able to get a bit of knowledge from, and because I was interested in that sort of aspect of media, it was very eye-opening to me what it was like. And we also, with animation, we also compared it with The Nightmare Before Christmas. We were even shown the making of The Nightmare Before Christmas, where they'd shown us how they built the sets, how they made the video, how they animated it, and it was really, really interesting, and I gained a lot of knowledge from that. So now we move on to level 3. Now level 3 was a completely different ball game. I had quite a few teachers at this point. I had Sophie, I had Laura, I had James, and I also had Liz as well. Now we were doing a lot of stuff in this first year of level 3. It was really bad. And I don't mean bad as in the work was bad, I enjoyed the work. It was just because we had a lot of people leaving in level 2, or level 3 should I say. In level 3 we had a lot of people leaving the college. We started off our group with at least 29 students, and we finished the year with only 9 students. We had a lot of people leaving in that course group, so and so that we almost had to be conjoined with another group because it was too small a group to teach. So it was very difficult because obviously when there's a lot of group work going on and you haven't got that many people to work with, you get confused of which groups you're in, because if you're in the same groups all the time, although it's easier to know which group you're in, you forget what work needs doing because you don't remember who you're doing the work with. It was very difficult, very stressful, but nonetheless it was really good. So in level 3 we made a music video. Now with the footage I'm going to show now, even though it shows me awfully in a vest top, it was a good music video. I had my own idea of doing an Ollie Murs music video, but we had to do it in a group, and the Ollie Murs idea that I came up with wasn't ideally the best idea to come up with. In fact, it was more the fact that it was basically me as a character jumping off the Collar Cambry building, which wasn't a very good idea at all. But it was something that I had to think about because of the genre of the music idea that it was essentially being. The good thing I had then was then I used to walk to the bus stop and then walk from the bus stop or bus station to college, and by doing that I had my headphones in listening to music, and I came up with my own ideas, visualising what I was wanting to do. Now with the music video we made, it was a completely different genre and music to what I've heard before, but I was playing the role of the drunken dad with the kids, and obviously it never ended well. But it was something that I really enjoyed doing. The quality of the video was really good, the footage was spot on. I helped with transporting equipment in my own vehicle at the time. Location wise it was really, really good. We had a good few days, it was funny, we had a lot of fun, and it was something that I do again. Next thing was with Welsh Back. Now with college you do have to do Welsh Back. As much as a lot of people probably don't like Welsh Back in school, yes, you have to do a ton of it in college. Now the problem we had was time-wise and obviously trying to talk to people to get into creative challenges. Now we did a community challenge where we had to do at least 30 hours of community service essentially to gain, well, and obviously had to prove it as well to go through Welsh Bac so that we could pass it. Now the problem we had is we tried to do that by teaching students from primary schools how to use media equipment. Now we tried doing that and none of the teachers, none of the schools got back in touch. So by this point we were struggling for ideas. So moving on from Welsh Bac, we did quite a few things with Edward Swindell. So Edward is a director who made the film Dark Signal. Now with Ed, we edited two sequences of his film. One was in a radio station and the other one was in a rented accommodation where bailiffs were taking equipment and stuff away from this Polish woman who was basically moved into the country. So she had no money, she needed to find money, and she had a laptop and a TV took off her to pay for basically her accommodation that she hasn't paid for. So she was in extreme debt with this as well. Now we did a few funny filmmaking activities with this course as well. We did one where it was like an interview, boss styled interview sort of thing. It failed because I started laughing at the end, but it was something I found very funny to re-watch after making it. I also did something very similar to this in the year after because I thought it was really, really funny to recreate, and for a 1-minute video I thought it was funny. Now I also did another weird video with Aidan, who's one of my friends in the class. We did it on a Donald Trump, and we had to edit as weirdly and as crazy as possible with this as well. We wanted to do something that was just full of edits. It was over edits, should we say. We had a genre that we had to pick. We were given a genre instead of anger, to which with this we kind of over edited. Now we also did a creative challenge with this course as well. It was near the end of the college course, or should we say the level, year 1 of level 3. With this, we just wanted to make a minute video on something funny and creative, essentially. And at the time, it was the election between Jeremy Corbyn and Theresa May. So we thought, well, let's try and help people choose and make the right choice for them, for the country. So I sound like a politician right now, but trust me, I'm not. But with this video, me and a few others started recording and going along with it, and it turned out pretty well, to be fair, even though it was mostly just recordings of something that isn't relevant, and a lot of people said that all the recordings we did weren't relevant, apart from the part where Oliver, my friend, was in the TV studio and he's talking directly to the audience with a direct face. This sort of recording, it didn't take us long to do, and some people may call us lazy for doing something like that, nothing productive and something that is original from an idea, but as something that was easy and simple to do, it was really good. It was fun to record, we had a few bloopers, and it was just really, really fun to make. Now, in level 3, year 1, we also had to start doing photography. Now, as you can see in the background, I know photography is a lot about my car, but at the time I didn't have a car, so I couldn't really do the amount of photography that I did today anyways of my car or locations such as that. However, we were given a brief that I sort of panicked with, and my tutor will back me up on this, where obviously I needed to take some photos of a day in the life of a person. So I thought, right, okay, nobody I know likes to have photos taken of them going here, there, everywhere. So I was in a mad panic. I had a week to go before I had to send in 15 detailed photos of the life of a person, or a day in the life of a person. So I said to my mum, I said, right, I need to do 15 photos of you in the day in the life of you. So obviously at the time my mum was attending university doing an injustice law course, so she had a lot to do during her day, so I thought it would be a good idea to ask her to see if she'd be able to do it, and luckily enough she did, because she knew that I was in a desperate situation, that I needed someone to record, because I was going to ask my best friend at the time, but she didn't like to be taken photos of, basically. So I took 15 photos of my mum going to university and doing her stuff at home on a computer, sorting out her uni work and the day in the life of her, essentially. And I sent those, well, you're going to see some of the photos on now, but I sent them in and they did the job perfectly good. So I was relieved at that point, because I thought, right, maybe I may have rushed these, maybe I didn't do really well on these photos, but no, it was good enough for them, and I was really happy with that. Even though it was stressful, I took maybe a lot more photos than I needed to, but at the time I recently bought my new camera for the college, so it was something that I was happy with. One of the most funnest parts of that year, were level 3 year 1, was presenting an idea that was basically a repeated video that gets shown in a gallery. Now this gallery used to be JJB Sports, but is now called Indig Een. So we had to come in a group, make a weird horror video genre, which is what we wanted, is horror, that looped over and over again, because at the time, before then, we had a trip going down to Manchester to have a look at some galleries down there, and we were able to see other people's work and other people's videos. So we thought we'd come up with an idea that we saw very similar to when we went to Manchester, and we made this horror video from a house near Denby. It was an abandoned house. It was abandoned for 30 years. We found a dead sheep in there. We found broken walls, there was rubble all over the floor, there was still a fridge in there, there was still a bed in there. It was really creepy, but it was a good environment to what we wanted to do. As well as it was surrounded by forests as well, and woods. There was trees everywhere, there was hardly any paths anywhere, it was all hills. It was wet, it was damp. It was also fine raining as well. We had a TV we brought with us as well to make it look like it was inhabitable still. It was really, really creepy what we did with this video, but I think the effect that we gave when we put in the gallery in Indig Een was really, really cool, and I think we got a lot of publicity for that as well. It was really fun to make. It took us a full day. We had to pick up people, it was raining, we travelled afar in a little tiny convoy, and we met up, we parked the cars, we took the equipment up a hill, we saw this house and we started recording, and I tell you what, it was really, really fun, and I enjoyed doing it. Now we had to do another recording as well, which was more like, it was a skill build. Now with the skill build video, we had to make a sort of show reel video, or a, well, it's for a show reel, which I'll get onto that after. But we had to make a video that consisted of about a minute or so, and it had to be sort of past times, not contemporary, but it had to show like the past. It had to look old, it had to basically remind you of memories, like if you passed away, you remember your life before you'd passed away or something like that. So it's just showing the past life of a person. We made that video. It didn't take us long as a skill build should, and it took us about a week to make. But we also made that as well, and as you'll see, there's a bit of footage of it here. Now going back to show reel, like I briefly mentioned earlier, we all had to make a show reel. Now a show reel is basically, if you went for an application for a job in filming or editing, you'll have a show reel of the work that you've done, which you give off to them as a sort of portfolio of the work that you have done in the past. In which case you've got evidence of what you've done. So obviously I had to make my own show reel of the things that I have done. That's including the acting, the animations and all sorts. So here is my show reel here of what I made, and obviously this is also including the footage that you've already seen. Now before the end of the year we had to do a social action video. Now admittedly, because of the group and the way that the video was made, it was made in Bulgaria about dogs that needed a new home. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to go to Bulgaria. One of my workmates did. She went over to record all the footage that she needed, and then we started editing it. Now, I edited a little bit of it, but I didn't do much more else than that. Not that I can remember on the top of my head anyways. But we had to do something like that, as well as we had multicam in the background. Now, multicam was quite fun. It was something different, something that gave you a bit of an environmental experience. We had to go in the TV studio, we had to make a game show of our own, and we had to make it all by ourselves. So we had to have 3 camera people, runners, we had a floor manager, we had a director, we had a sound person, as well as everything else as well. That's including transitions as well from camera to camera, as well as obviously we needed the director who was planning and moving things about everywhere whenever he or she pleases. And we made a game show in the TV studio. I had various different roles that we tried. We had to do, I think, at least 2 main roles to get marked on. In which case we had a lot of planning, a lot of prepping before this, a lot of practicing as well. But it was something, that part of it was very, very interesting. I was able to gain an environmental aspect of what it would be like under, let's say, The Chase, a TV show or something like that. It's very, very similar, but it gave me a lot of an insight of what environmentally it would be. You know, so if I went to go in a camera roll position, I'd fully understand what the environment is going to feel like, because I've already been in that sort of environment under a test sort of environment as well. Now we're moving on to level 3 part 2, so year 2 essentially. Now, even though level 1 we had to do a lot of website work as well, of basically how to make a website, how to make a video, it was more website based. With level 2 we didn't have to do that, or should I say year 2 we didn't have to do that. With year 2 I found it much easier. It was a more enjoyable, less stressful year, should I say. Obviously we had more people in our classes this time, and a lot of people left this year either. There was a lot of people who I got along with as well in this year as well, because last year there wasn't many people to talk to, and the people that were left I didn't really talk to. But with this year it was a lot more enjoyable, it was a lot more fun, and we started off the year on such a very positive note. Now, with level 3 we had to make a corporate video. Now, we had the option of doing a promotional video or a corporate video, and this is for a skill build. So we went to Andy, who is in charge of the TV studio, and we thought, right, Andy, we need to do a corporate or we had to do a corporate or promotional video. And he said, well, what do you want to do? I said to him, with my group as well that we had at the time, that we wanted to do an instructional sort of promotional or corporate video on how to use the TV studio, or how to use something of the TV studio. Now, Andy pointed to us that he's got a new crane. Now, originally when he said crane, I wasn't thinking of the constructional cranes that you get on new buildings. It was more the camera on a crane. So when you're getting in sweeping in shots, it's not done by a person flying in the air, it's done by a crane that's held by a person or a robot that's being controlled by a remote control. So he allowed us to use what was called the Hague camera stand crane. And we were able to play about with it, and then obviously make a few good shots out of it. And to be fair, this video was really, really cool. We played with a lot of things, we experimented a lot of things with this video as well, that gained my knowledge for coming to the real marked work that we did for a promotional corporate video. Now, the problem I had with corporate and promotional video is obviously when you're learning these things you get a bit confused. Now with me, I accidentally made a documentary in my actual marked work. Now when we had to make this video, I had to make it properly. This isn't the skill build, I'm now going on to the actual marked work. a mate of mine started work in a very recent restaurant, or bistro should I say. It's called Nice Bites in the People's Market in Chester. I knew the guy as well. He was very friendly. Honestly, he couldn't be a much nicer guy. We had a few laughs, it was quite cool. And me and my group went down there at least 5 times to get our recording done. Now the first time we did, we recorded quite a bit of footage, edited together, and we found out the sound was rubbish and it looked more like a documentary video than it did in a promo or a corporate video. So we thought, right, okay, we'll go back and we'll start again from scratch and we'll make it look a lot better. So that's what we did. We went back again and again and again to make sure we got it right. We brought the appropriate equipment with us and we recorded quite a lot of things, as well as we gave Stuart, who is the owner of Nice Bites, or Stuart Fenley, the owner of Nice Bites, we gave him a script. We asked him for him to adjust it and then obviously add, or even if he wanted to recreate that script to his needs. He was able to do that and he performed really well. In fact, I'm pretty sure, I'm just going to say this now, that this is my most impressive work. I think this is the best work that I have come up with, because I was the group leader in this one as well. Director, should I say, if I was to put it in a... Now after this we did, with James, our tutor, a 1 minute wonder idea. So basically it was run off YouTube. Now I had a lot of knowledge on YouTube, as I was a YouTube person. I used to do gaming, I used to do animations that I wanted to do on YouTube. So I knew the brief. When I was given the brief, I had a lot of knowledge of what was needed. There's a lot of people who don't like watching over 1 minute videos because they just want to watch something and then be done with it. And if it's funny, they'll repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, and that's how you get revenue. So that's how you get money from YouTube / Google, because Google now's own YouTube. So we had to make a 1 minute wonders pitch. So I've got the footage here of the pitch that I pitched with my group. And we then went on from making that pitch to making the actual video. Now it was very similar to the video I made the year prior, where it was like an interview sort of styled video. However, it was more full of memes. Now this one was also full of memes, but it was also very funny. It was meant to be more comedy than memes. So with this video, we made an interview style. We were using the same room as well, coincidentally. We were using the same room as what we were using last year. But with this one we made a more serious interview, in which case I didn't burst out laughing this time. However, I'm pretty sure we've got a few outtakes of them. It was quite funny and it was enjoyable. It was one of those times where you can sit down, you can relax, you can laugh at things, you can have a joke and it's funny. You'll watch it over on the edits and you'll think, what the hell was I thinking? But when you look at it from near the end of the college year, you think I've had quite a few good memories from this course, and that's exactly what I've had. Now I also did an interview with for Welsh Back for an artifact regarding copycat killers. Now with regarding to copycat killers, I did a lot of things where it was more research based on what happened with the killing on the 50th anniversary of Coronation Street, and it was involved with a tram accident as well as murder. Now the murder was conducted by a 14-year-old guy called Daniel, who killed his mum after watching the Coronation Street video, and he had a few arguments with his mother as well, split up from the father as well, so it was very traumatic for him. So he had a few mental issues, in which case he thought he could get away with it by burning the house down after hitting his mum with a hammer, like what was shown on the Coronation Street video, where John Stape hit Charlotte Hoyle with a hammer over the head before she could unveil his secret to Fizz. So we made that sort of video, and then we went on to making a full-on interview. Now, obviously Welsh Back was difficult enough and we had a lot of things on our plate, but it all went fairly smoothly. So with this part we had to make an interview with someone who was famous or a celebrity or something like that. So I thought, I know a friend who I've only just recently met who owns his own barber shop, and he owns it on the Plassey, which used to be some horse stables, but he's created it into a little mini hairdresser shop. So I thought I'd go ask him and see if he'd like an interview done on how he's created his business, as he's very proud of his business as well, should I add. So he said yes. We had a few difficulties trying to arrange it at the time because we only had a short time base, and we recorded the video. We had quite a few bloopers on there, which I would admit I have added on YouTube myself. But in terms of how the interview was conducted, I thought it was really good. However, we only had one camera hiccup. It was my own personal camera that I thought, oh, I'll bring it just in case we need another camera, which we did need another camera, but the quality wasn't as good as what you would get on the camera that I'm recording this with today. So we recorded the interview, and I edited it down, and I thought there's a lot of bloopers here, so I made my own bloopers. So just for the sake of the video, I will show you some of the bloopers. Now also in this year we also had to do an anti-smoking advert. Now this anti-smoking advert was a bit difficult, but originally I thought it was a pretty easy idea. So we wanted to make an advert video based on a life balance, which we were going to base it off a bank balance instead. But this bank balance, you can see, goes from like near £100 and it keeps going down every time you have a cigarette. Now the problem we had with this advert is we couldn't show anybody using a real smoke cigarette. So instead we used a vapor. And by using a vapor, a bit like what that is there, we made a video where it was faked. But when you look at it on the edit, it's real. However, you don't actually see who's smoking the video, who's smoking on the video, which is good because that was what was in the brief. We can't record anyone using or promoting cigarettes. So by doing this anyways, we had a life balance and put like £100 in, and every time you use a cigarette it'll go down and down and down, so it nearly goes to zero. And then what the character does in the video is he throws away the packet of cigarettes, and then he gains a penny every step he walks away from that bin. So basically at the beginning of the video it looks like a bank balance, but he misinterprets it for time. So at the end of the video, that bank balance turns into time. So the audience, the target audience we're giving it to, thinks that, okay, he's gaining more time, which is the whole purpose of the video. It's supposed to be more technical, so we're using a bit more skills in this video to try and attract our audience into stopping smoking. Now we also did a few research things as well with young people in terms of smoke bugs, which I was included in, and I'm glad to say that my parents have stopped smoking and they're now using vapors, a bit like me. But again, we were able to work on that sort of effect as well to try and stop smoking, as well as we did a lot of research with a lot of graphic adverts as well. So we tried to add as much graphic detail as we possibly could within the brief, so nothing gory, nothing explicit, nothing ugly, and also nothing that will misinterpret the advert for smoking. Now we also did a documentary in this year as well. We've done a lot of things throughout this college, and this documentary part was based on cyberbullying as well as bullying in general. There's more to do with social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter pages, and all sorts of bullying. It was based on with my sister. My sister had a few issues in school with social media, so I sort of thought that that would be a good idea to include. So originally I was going to interview my sister, but then I thought that the situation got so much worse, I thought it was morally not right to record my sister talking about the problems, especially when they're so raw. So we made a video instead of just social bullying and the wrong use of social media in general. So we came as a group, we spoke to a few people, we spoke to student services in Colin Cambria, as well as my old youth worker that I used to personally speak to in Ysgol Brunel in school. And it was very good to catch up with Caroline the youth worker, because I haven't spoken to her for 3 years, which is quite mind-boggling to know that I haven't spoken to her for 3 years. So I didn't know what to expect when I first met back up with her. But we were able to discuss a lot of contemporary issues with how the world is working around social media. So on that aspect, the video was very purposeful. Now, we had to make our own stop motion again. Now, obviously I've learned from stop motion in level 2 how to make stop motion. So I had a problem. I was ill a lot, as well as I didn't have a lot of time, because I was in work a lot. So when it came to recording animations, which we made in stop motion, we did a lot of work into making a cake. Now, we tried making a cake. We brought a camera with us, but the battery died on it, so we couldn't use it. So instead, we used a different camera without a tripod, so it was inconsistently out of place. So in terms of every shot, the camera was moving, so it didn't look right. So if we wanted to put it in a consistent way, we couldn't really do so because the camera was wobbling all over the place. So everything got a bit tense, so we thought, right, okay, why not make a cup of tea? So we thought, that's a pretty good idea, because by making a cup of tea, it doesn't really take long to do, and if we have consistently bad camera issues, we can always remake a cup of tea. Whereas when we've made a cake, we've already used the ingredients, and by doing that, it's going to cost us more. So by making a cup of tea, we know we're going to get it right. It's not going to be the best thing in the world, but to get the mark, it's pretty good. Now, we had a bit of an issue with single cam. We had a single cam production to make. We were going to base it off My Life So Far, which basically means, or basically was made for, essentially, one person to remember his past life experiences. He's going up in class, and he's going to try and talk to the class about his past, basically like a life lesson. And he tries to talk to everyone else because he's shy about his life, essentially. So he's in a group just talking about his life. But we tried doing that. We had a few issues with the camera, and I was supposed to be director. However, I didn't have enough evidence in my role to do that. So what I did instead was make my own video, my own single camera video with my friends, of me robbing my own car. So here it is. So that's what I've done in college in 3 years. It seems like a lot of work. It is a lot of work, and there is a lot more paperwork involved than originally first thought. But throughout that, it has been a very knowledgeable experience throughout those 3 years. I've learned a lot. Without being in college for those 3 years, or without being in this particular course, I wouldn't know what to do properly. There was a lot of people who started their college life in level 3, and they didn't last long. They left literally as soon as they walked through the door, essentially. It wasn't even near Christmas time, and we were near to 10 students left in the class. After 29 students, we lost so many people in that first 4 months. They all changed to different courses, they didn't like the course, and they moved on. So what I would recommend is doing level 2 first. Level 2 is easy, it is cool, you get to know people, you get to know how the college works, and you get to relax as well. It's not too stressful, level 2. Level 3 is a lot more hands-on, a little bit more difficult, there's a lot more writing involved. But if you've been in level 2, you're able to know what you're about to do. You know the facilities, you've explored the college, you know what you want to do, and it should be easy and straightforward. So that's my life in college, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I want to thank the college for having such a good 3 years of work, and I'd definitely do it again if I need be. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Thanks for the year in college.